Hidden in the forest is Greenwood, a village built into nature. Farms here are nestled between mystic woods and the tall bamboo forest of Ashwood, the latter which has sprouted from ashes many years ago. A meteor destroyed much of the area, leaving the ground charred and the air heavy with soot. The forest has recovered since then, but now a new threat has grown to the west, the Iron Fortress, an industrial behemoth housing evildoers conspiring world's dominance. The town relies on soldiers such as Weeb and Steve holding the line against these fascists. The Iron Fortress has destroyed much of the forest and polluted nearby waters. They have blocked Greenwood's trade routes with the tropics and harbor. Any goods that can't be bought are instead grown, fished, or hunted. Self-proclaimed as the best hunter in the village, Anna is one of many who were raised at an early age to hunt. Anna and her parents live frugally. To save on costs, they grow and store their own vegetables in the canopies using what they've learned from books. They had even raised chickens during Anna's adolescence. She grew up eating natural foods that her family has grown or purchased at a nearby shop. They specialize in anything green, such as cactus, herbs, mints, and other plants. Food is cherished here. It's often gifted as a reward for good deeds. It has its practical applications, whether it be spicy chilies to provide warmth, or a highly caloric snack to ready you for combat. Food also has medicinal properties, meaning you can't afford to leave without some unless you have a cleric accompanying you. What makes food even more special is knowing someone risked their life hunting down monsters to get you some meat. However, that does mean food can be expensive. That then creates fierce competition, such as the rivalry between Greenwood and Red Pine. Reminiscent of rural America, Red Pine struggles to secure the southern continent. Its farming infrastructures are in disrepair, meaning food is scarce. Monsters have invaded the town and are killing people who haven't escaped. Those who remain have banded together to form a resistance, but morale is low. An army cannot fight on an empty stomach. It rings more true here. Having no food means having no form of recovery. Just as Greenwood has, Red Pine needs to reclaim the town and repair its farming infrastructures. The most potent medicine they could be providing soldiers are hamburgers. You're bound to find people enjoying beer and cheese. It's easy to come across, so there should be plenty of it. The white shine in the cheese means it's been produced from local goats. The smelly bucks, or in other words the male goats, are kept away from the females for a less offensive taste, thankfully. It isn't just beer and cheese that's readily available. Vine-ripened tomatoes are easy and cheap to grow, as is lettuce. Bread is stored and favored among soldiers and hunters for its satiety. After a successful hunt, use the meat to make hamburgers and store the remaining meat on drying racks. This can be an effective way to keep people safe and circumvent the high cost. Mix yeast into a bowl of flour and then add the warm beer to the bowl. The beer should be warmed in the microwave for a few seconds until it reaches a temperature of 120 to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Combine all of the ingredients to form the dough, and then add the salt, sugar, and butter thoroughly before kneading the dough for about 8 minutes. Rest the dough in an oiled bowl in a warm room for an hour or until it has reached double in size. After an hour, knead the dough for just a couple minutes more. Divide the dough into 8 pieces and roll each piece into a tight ball. Place it on top of a parchment-covered sheet and let the dough rest for another 20 to 25 minutes. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. After the time has passed, gently cover the dough in egg wash and then top it with sesame seeds and extra salt. Once the oven is ready, bake the buns for 12 to 15 minutes or until they are a nice golden color. Take them out once they're done and let them cool while the patties are being cooked. Set the oven to a high broil. Add a generous amount of salt and black pepper to some ground beef. Divide the meat into 4 equal parts, or 8 if you're working with 2 pounds of beef, and with your thumb, form an indent into each patty. This will keep the patty from ballooning in the oven. Broil the patties for 2 to 3 minutes on one side, and then flip it to cook for another 1 to 2 minutes, or until the patties have reached an internal temperature of 130 degrees Fahrenheit for a medium rare. I cooked the patty for 3 minutes on each side and it came out well done, so had I shaved off 2 minutes, it would have been medium rare, I believe. Keep in mind that the patty will continue to cook after it's taken out of the oven and left to rest. If you have a hard goat cheese, top the patty after the flip. If using a soft cheese, then spread it onto the meat at the end when assembling the burger. While the patties are resting, toast your buns with butter in the pan. This step is particularly helpful in preventing the bread from getting soggy from the meat. Just like in the game, assemble the burger in the following order: bun, patty, cheese, tomato, lettuce, and then bun. The burger came out fantastic. I'm definitely making it again in the future. Goat's cheese is very pungent, so use very thin slices unlike the large ones I used. The cheese was creamy with a hint of bitterness, not gamey, that slowly crept in what could be felt like the back of my nose. My favorite part though were the buns. These were the best buns I've ever had, albeit I've only had store-bought buns. They were so flaky, so buttery, with a great amount of spring, but since they were toasted there was the comforting texture of crunch, but accompanied with a lot of fluff. The patty itself was still good considering it was created under the limitations of the game, but the buns took a lot of attention for me.